Boundaries that create freedom. Living your best life on your terms. Written and published by MSC Boost. Chapter 1. The Foundation of Freedom. Defining boundaries for yourself. Boundaries are the invisible lines we draw around ourselves to protect our time, energy, and well-being. They serve as a framework for how we interact with the world and those around us. When we have clear, healthy boundaries in place, we create a space where we can thrive and live authentically. Boundaries are not about limiting ourselves or others. Rather, they are about setting the stage for personal growth and freedom. To truly understand the power of boundaries, we must first explore our core values. These are the guiding principles that shape our beliefs, decisions, and actions. They are the foundation upon which we build our lives. When we are in alignment with our values, we experience a sense of purpose and fulfillment. However, when we neglect our values or allow others to override them, we may feel lost, frustrated, or resentful. Taking the time to identify your core values is a crucial step in defining your boundaries. Consider what matters most to you in life. Is it honesty, compassion, creativity, or independence? Once you have a clear understanding of your values, you can begin to make decisions that honor them. This may involve saying no to requests that don't align with your priorities or setting aside time for activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. It's important to recognize that prioritizing your needs and desires is not selfish. It's essential for your well-being. When you neglect your own needs in favor of pleasing others, you may find yourself feeling drained, resentful, or unfulfilled. Learning to put yourself first is a crucial aspect of setting healthy boundaries. This doesn't mean disregarding the needs of others entirely. Rather, it's about finding a balance that allows you to care for yourself while still being present for those you love. It's about recognizing that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that taking care of yourself is a prerequisite for being able to show up fully in your relationships and responsibilities. One way to prioritize your needs is to practice self-reflection regularly. Take time each day to check in with yourself and assess how you're feeling. Are you energized and fulfilled, or are you feeling drained and overwhelmed? If you find that you're consistently putting others' needs before your own, it may be time to reevaluate your boundaries. Another helpful tool is to communicate your needs and desires clearly and directly. This can be challenging, especially if you're used to putting others first or avoiding confrontation. However, expressing your needs is a crucial part of setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. When communicating your boundaries, it's important to be specific and firm, while also being respectful and compassionate. For example, instead of saying, "I can't do that," try saying, "I appreciate you thinking of me, but I have other commitments that I need to prioritize right now." By being clear and direct, you give others the opportunity to understand and respect your boundaries. It's also important to be prepared for pushback or resistance when setting boundaries. Some people may not understand or respect your need for space, or may try to guilt you into doing something that doesn't align with your values. In these situations, it's crucial to stand firm in your convictions and remember that your boundaries are not up for negotiation. Setting and maintaining healthy boundaries takes practice and patience. It's a skill that requires self-awareness, communication, and a willingness to prioritize your own needs. However, the benefits of having clear boundaries are immeasurable. When you have healthy boundaries in place, you create a sense of safety and security within yourself. You know that you have the power to say no to things that don't serve you and yes to things that bring you joy and fulfillment. You are able to show up more fully in your relationships because you are not constantly sacrificing your own needs for the sake of others. Boundaries also allow you to live more authentically. When you are in alignment with your values and priorities, you are able to make decisions that feel true to who you are. You are less likely to feel resentful or burnt out because you are not constantly compromising yourself for the sake of others. Embracing boundaries is not about building walls or shutting others out. It's about creating a foundation of self-respect and self-care that allows you to show up more fully in the world. When you have clear boundaries in place, you are able to give from a place of abundance, rather than depletion. Defining boundaries for yourself is an ongoing process. As you grow and change, your values and priorities may shift, and your boundaries may need to be adjusted accordingly. The key is to remain curious and compassionate with yourself, and to continue to prioritize your own well-being. By embracing the power of boundaries, you open yourself up to a life of greater freedom, authenticity, and fulfillment. You give yourself permission to live life on your own terms, and to create a reality that aligns with your deepest desires and values. Boundaries are not a limitation. They are a pathway to liberation. Chapter 2. Reclaiming your time. Mastering the art of saying no. Time is a precious commodity that we often take for granted. We live in a society that glorifies busyness and encourages us to say yes to every opportunity that comes our way. However, this mindset can quickly lead to burnout, stress, and a lack of fulfillment. Learning to say no is a crucial skill in reclaiming your time and living a life that aligns with your values and priorities. Saying no can be challenging, especially if you're a people pleaser or have a fear of missing out. You may worry about disappointing others or missing out on important opportunities. However, it's essential to recognize that every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your values or priorities, you're saying no to something else that does. The power of saying no lies in its ability to create space for what truly matters to you. When you decline requests or invitations that don't serve you, you free up time and energy for the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. You give yourself permission to focus on your own needs and desires, rather than constantly sacrificing them for the sake of others. To master the art of saying no, it's important to develop a clear understanding of your own boundaries and priorities. Take time to reflect on what matters most to you and what you want to achieve in life. This clarity will make it easier to identify when a request or opportunity doesn't align with your values or goals. When declining a request, it's important to be direct, honest, and respectful. Avoid making excuses or apologizing profusely, as this can undermine your message and make it easier for others to push back. Instead, simply state your decision and express gratitude for the opportunity. For example, if a colleague asks you to take on an extra project that you don't have time for, you might say something like, "Thank you for thinking of me for this project. While I appreciate the opportunity, I don't have the capacity to take on additional work at this time. I hope you understand." It's also important to be proactive in communicating your boundaries and expectations. If you know that you have a busy week ahead, let others know in advance that you may not be as available as usual. This can help prevent last-minute requests or expectations that can throw off your schedule and add unnecessary stress. In some cases, you may need to be more assertive in your communication, especially if someone is consistently pushing your boundaries or not respecting your time. This may involve setting clear consequences for repeated violations of your boundaries, such as limiting your availability or ending a relationship altogether. It's important to remember that saying no is not a one-time event, but an ongoing practice. As you become more comfortable with setting and communicating your boundaries, you may find that others begin to respect your time and priorities more naturally. However, there may be times when you face pushback or resistance from others who are used to you always saying yes. In these situations, it's crucial to stand firm in your convictions and remember why you set the boundary in the first place. Remind yourself of the benefits of saying no, such as increased productivity, reduced stress, and more time for the things that truly matter to you. Mastering the art of saying no is a powerful tool in reclaiming your time and living a life that aligns with your values and priorities. It allows you to focus on what truly matters to you, rather than constantly spreading yourself thin trying to please others. When you learn to say no with grace and confidence, you send a message to yourself and others that your time and energy are valuable. You demonstrate that you respect yourself enough to prioritize your own needs and desires, and that you trust yourself to make decisions that align with your goals and values. Saying no can be challenging at first, but with practice and persistence, it becomes easier and more natural. As you begin to experience the benefits of setting and maintaining healthy boundaries around your time, you may find that you have more energy, clarity, and joy in your life. Reclaiming your time is not about being selfish or inflexible. It's about recognizing that your time is a limited resource and that you have the power to choose how you spend it. By learning to say no to the things that don't serve you, you create space for the things that do. You give yourself permission to live a life that is authentic, fulfilling, and true to who you are. Chapter 3. The Self-Care Sanctuary. Creating Space for Personal Growth. Self-care is often misunderstood as a luxury or an indulgence, something that we do when we have extra time or money. However, self-care is a crucial component of maintaining healthy boundaries and prioritizing our own well-being. When we neglect our own needs in favor of constantly giving to others, we risk burnout, resentment, and a loss of sense of self. Creating a self-care sanctuary is about carving out time and space for activities that nurture your mind, body, and soul. This can look different for everyone, depending on your unique needs and preferences. Some people find solace in quiet meditation or journaling, while others prefer physical activities like yoga or running. The key is to identify what makes you feel grounded, energized, and fulfilled. Establishing a self-care routine can be challenging, especially if you're not used to prioritizing your own needs. You may feel guilty or selfish for taking time for yourself, or you may struggle to find the time amidst your other responsibilities. However, it's important to remember that self-care is not a luxury, but a necessity for your overall well-being. Start small by setting aside just a few minutes each day for an activity that brings you joy or relaxation. This could be as simple as taking a few deep breaths, stretching, or enjoying a cup of tea. As you begin to experience the benefits of these small acts of self-care, you may find yourself naturally gravitating towards longer and more intentional practices. Incorporating rituals and practices that engage your senses can be a powerful way to create a self-care sanctuary. Lighting candles, diffusing essential oils, or listening to soothing music can help to create a calming atmosphere and signal to your mind and body that it's time to relax and recharge. Physical self-care practices like exercise, healthy eating, and getting enough sleep are also crucial components of maintaining healthy boundaries. When we neglect our physical needs, we become more susceptible to stress, illness, and burnout. Making time for regular physical activity, nourishing our bodies with whole foods, and prioritizing restful sleep can help us show up more fully in all areas of our lives. Self-care isn't just about physical practices, however. It's also about nurturing our emotional and mental well-being. This may involve setting boundaries around toxic relationships or situations, seeking therapy or counseling when needed, or simply allowing ourselves to feel and process our emotions without judgment. Creating a personalized self-care plan can help you stay accountable and committed to your own well-being. Take some time to reflect on what practices and activities make you feel your best, both physically and emotionally. Consider creating a self-care menu or toolkit that you can turn to when you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or in need of some extra nurturing. Your self-care plan should be flexible and adaptable, allowing for changes and adjustments as your needs and circumstances evolve. What works for you during one season of life may not work in another, and that's okay. The key is to remain curious and open to experimenting with different practices and approaches until you find what resonates with you. It's also important to remember that self-care isn't always easy or comfortable. Sometimes, the most important acts of self-care involve facing difficult emotions, setting firm boundaries, or making tough decisions. However, by prioritizing your own well-being and creating space for personal growth, you give yourself the foundation and resilience needed to navigate life's challenges with grace and confidence. Cultivating a self-care sanctuary is an ongoing practice that requires patience, commitment, and self-compassion. There will be days when you fall short of your intentions or struggle to make time for yourself. In these moments, it's important to extend yourself the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a dear friend. Creating space for personal growth and self-care is not selfish or indulgent. It's an essential component of living a fulfilling and authentic life. When we prioritize our own well-being, we show up more fully in our relationships, our work, and our communities. We become better equipped to weather life's storms and to savor its joys. A self-care sanctuary is not a physical place, but a state of mind and a commitment to your own well-being. By nurturing your mind, body, and soul with intention and care, you create a foundation of resilience and strength that can sustain you through life's ups and downs. You give yourself permission to thrive, not just survive. Chapter 4: Authentic Communication. Speaking your truth with confidence. Effective communication is the cornerstone of healthy relationships, both with others and with ourselves. When we express our needs, wants, and feelings clearly and directly, we create a foundation of trust and understanding that allows us to build deeper, more meaningful connections. However, authentic communication can be challenging, especially if we've been conditioned to prioritize others' needs over our own or to avoid conflict at all costs. We may fear rejection, judgment, or confrontation, causing us to bottle up our true feelings and desires. Learning to speak your truth with confidence is a vital skill in setting and maintaining healthy boundaries. When we communicate authentically, we send a message to ourselves and others that our needs and feelings matter. We create a space for honest dialogue and problem solving, rather than resentment and misunderstanding. The first step in authentic communication is getting clear on what you want to express. Take time to reflect on your thoughts, feelings, and needs before entering into a conversation. This can help you communicate more effectively and stay grounded in your truth, even in the face of discomfort or pushback. When expressing your needs or wants, use I statements that focus on your own experiences and feelings, rather than blame or accusation. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try saying, "I feel unheard when I express my concerns." This approach can help to minimize defensiveness and create a more open and productive dialogue. It's also important to be specific and direct in your communication. Avoid hinting, sugarcoating, or beating around the bush, as this can lead to confusion and misinterpretation. Instead, state your needs and boundaries clearly and firmly, while still being respectful and compassionate. Practicing assertive communication can be particularly helpful in situations where you need to set firm boundaries or navigate difficult conversations. Assertiveness involves expressing your needs and opinions while also respecting the rights and needs of others. It's about finding a balance between standing up for yourself and being considerate of others' perspectives. When communicating assertively, use a calm, confident tone and maintain open body language. Make eye contact, keep your posture relaxed but upright, and avoid crossing your arms or legs, which can signal defensiveness or closed-off energy. It's also important to practice active listening when engaging in authentic communication. This involves giving your full attention to the other person, without interrupting or mentally preparing your response. Pay attention to both verbal and nonverbal cues, and ask clarifying questions to ensure that you fully understand their perspective. Active listening can be particularly challenging when we disagree with someone or feel triggered by their words. In these moments, it's important to take a deep breath and remind yourself to stay present and curious. Seek to understand, rather than to be right or to prove a point. Authentic communication also involves being willing to have difficult conversations and to face discomfort head-on. Avoiding conflict or suppressing your true feelings may provide temporary relief, but it ultimately leads to resentment, disconnection, and a lack of authenticity in your relationships. When approaching a difficult conversation, it can be helpful to focus on your shared goals and values, rather than getting caught up in personal attacks or blame. Use We language to emphasize your desire to find a solution that works for both parties, and be willing to compromise and find common ground. It's also important to choose your battles wisely and to discern when authentic communication is truly necessary. Not every thought or feeling needs to be expressed, and there may be times when silence or discretion is the most appropriate response. However, when it comes to your core values, needs, and boundaries, speaking your truth is non-negotiable. By consistently communicating authentically, you train others to respect your boundaries and to value your input and perspectives. Developing authentic communication skills is a lifelong practice that requires patience, courage, and self-awareness. There will be times when you stumble or revert to old patterns of avoidance or people-pleasing. In these moments, extend your self-compassion and recommit to your intention to speak your truth with confidence. Remember that authentic communication is not about being perfect or always getting your way. It's about creating a foundation of honesty, trust, and mutual respect in your relationships. When we speak our truth with clarity and compassion, we invite others to do the same, fostering deeper, more meaningful connections. Speaking your truth with confidence is a radical act of self-love and self-respect. It's about honoring your own needs and desires, while also creating space for others to do the same. By communicating authentically, you model the kind of relationships you want to cultivate, ones built on trust, understanding, and mutual growth. Chapter 5. The Power of Self-Awareness. Aligning your actions with your values. Self-awareness is the foundation of personal growth and authentic living. When we have a clear understanding of our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, we can make conscious choices that align with our values and goals. Without self-awareness, we risk living on autopilot, reacting to life's challenges and opportunities without intention or purpose. Developing self-awareness requires a willingness to look honestly at ourselves, even when it's uncomfortable or painful. It means acknowledging our strengths and weaknesses, our hopes and fears, and the patterns and habits that shape our lives. This process can be challenging, but it's also incredibly empowering. When we cultivate self-awareness, we gain a deeper understanding of what motivates us, what drains us, and what brings us joy. We become more attuned to our inner world and can better navigate the complexities of our external reality. Self-awareness allows us to live with greater intention, authenticity, and purpose. Identifying patterns and behaviors that undermine our boundaries is a key aspect of self-awareness. Often, we engage in habits or reactions that sabotage our own well-being without even realizing it. These patterns may be rooted in childhood experiences, cultural conditioning, or past traumas. For example, we may find ourselves consistently saying yes to requests or invitations that don't align with our values or priorities, out of a fear of disappointing others or being rejected. Or we may struggle with self-doubt and imposter syndrome, causing us to downplay our accomplishments or shy away from new opportunities. Recognizing these patterns is the first step in breaking free from them. By bringing awareness to our thoughts and behaviors, we create space for change and growth. We can begin to question the beliefs and assumptions that underlie our actions and explore new ways of being that better serve our authentic selves. Self-awareness also allows us to make decisions that align with our values and long-term goals. When we have clarity around what matters most to us, we can use that as a guidepost for navigating life's choices and challenges. We can ask ourselves, does this decision align with my values and priorities? Will it move me closer to the life I want to create? Making values-aligned decisions isn't always easy, especially when it means going against the grain or disappointing others. However, the more we practice listening to our inner wisdom and honoring our authentic desires, the more confident and empowered we become in our choices. Developing a growth mindset is another powerful tool for cultivating self-awareness and personal development. A growth mindset is the belief that our abilities and traits are not fixed, but can be developed and expanded through effort, learning, and perseverance. When we approach challenges and setbacks with a growth mindset, we see them as opportunities for learning and development, rather than as threats to our self-worth or identity. We become more resilient in the face of adversity and more open to feedback and constructive criticism. Cultivating a growth mindset requires a willingness to step outside our comfort zone and embrace discomfort as a natural part of the learning process. It means reframing failure as a valuable source of information and insight, rather than as a reflection of our inherent worth or potential. Self-awareness is an ongoing practice that requires patience, curiosity, and self-compassion. There will be times when we fall short of our intentions or revert to old patterns of behavior. In these moments, it's important to extend ourselves kindness and understanding, rather than judgment or self-criticism. One powerful tool for cultivating self-awareness is mindfulness meditation. By bringing our attention to the present moment, without judgment or attachment, we can begin to observe our thoughts, feelings, and sensations with greater clarity and objectivity. We learn to create space between our experiences and our reactions, allowing us to respond with greater intention and skill. Other practices that can support self-awareness include journaling, therapy or coaching, and seeking feedback from trusted friends and mentors. The key is to approach these practices with an open and curious mind, and a willingness to learn and grow. Self-awareness is not about achieving perfection or eliminating all of our flaws and weaknesses. Rather, it's about developing a deeper understanding and acceptance of ourselves, so that we can live with greater authenticity, purpose, and joy. When we align our actions with our values and prioritize our own growth and well-being, we create a ripple effect that extends far beyond ourselves. We inspire others to live with greater intention and courage, and we contribute to a world that is more compassionate, connected, and alive. Developing self-awareness is a lifelong journey that requires commitment, courage, and a willingness to embrace discomfort and uncertainty. However, the rewards of this practice are immeasurable. By cultivating a deeper understanding of ourselves and aligning our actions with our values, we unlock our full potential and create a life of greater meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. Chapter 6. Redefining Success. Pursuing a life of purpose and fulfillment. Success is a concept that has been defined and redefined throughout history, often influenced by societal norms, cultural expectations, and personal beliefs. In today's fast-paced, achievement-oriented world, success is often equated with external markers, such as wealth, status, and power. However, this narrow definition of success can leave us feeling empty, unfulfilled, and disconnected from our true selves. Redefining success on your own terms is about questioning the assumptions and beliefs that have shaped your understanding of what it means to live a meaningful and fulfilling life. It's about looking beyond the external validation and approval of others, and instead turning inward to discover what truly matters to you. This process begins with identifying your core values and beliefs. What principles guide your decisions and actions? What qualities do you admire in others and aspire to embody yourself? When you have a clear understanding of your values, you can use them as a compass to navigate life's choices and challenges. Your values may include things like integrity, compassion, creativity, or adventure. They may be shaped by your upbringing, your experiences, or your deepest desires. Whatever they are unique to you and serve as a foundation for creating a life that is authentic and fulfilling. Once you have clarified your values, the next step is to align your goals and actions with them. This means setting intentions and making choices that are consistent with your core beliefs, even when it means going against the grain or taking the road less traveled. For example, if one of your core values is creativity, you may choose to pursue a career in the arts, even if it means foregoing a more stable or lucrative path. Or if you value adventure, you may prioritize travel and new experiences over material possessions or traditional markers of success. Aligning your actions with your values requires courage, discipline, and a willingness to take risks. It means being true to yourself, even when it's uncomfortable or challenging. However, the rewards of living a life that is authentic and purposeful are immeasurable. When you pursue a life of purpose and fulfillment, you experience a deep sense of meaning and connection. You feel alive, engaged, and inspired by the work you do and the relationships you cultivate. You are driven not by external rewards or validation, but by an inner sense of conviction and passion. This kind of success is not about achieving a specific destination or outcome, but about the journey itself. It's about embracing growth, learning, and self-discovery as integral parts of the human experience. It's about finding joy and meaning in the present moment, rather than constantly striving for some future goal or achievement. Redefining success also means letting go of the need for perfection or control. It means accepting that life is messy, unpredictable, and full of challenges and setbacks. It means cultivating resilience, adaptability, and a growth mindset in the face of adversity. When you pursue a life of purpose and fulfillment, you inevitably face obstacles and setbacks along the way. However, these challenges can be seen as opportunities for growth and learning, rather than as failures or defeats. They can help you develop new skills, insights, and perspectives that enrich your life and deepen your sense of purpose. Pursuing a life of purpose and fulfillment also means cultivating meaningful relationships and connections with others. It means surrounding yourself with people who support and inspire you, and who share your values and vision. It means being generous with your time, energy, and resources, and using your unique gifts and talents to make a positive impact on the world. This kind of success is not about accumulating wealth, status, or power for their own sake, but about using these resources to create value and benefit others. It's about living a life of service, contribution, and generosity, and recognizing that our own well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of those around us. Redefining success on your own terms is a lifelong journey that requires introspection, experimentation, and a willingness to embrace change and uncertainty. It means letting go of the expectations and beliefs that no longer serve you, and instead charting your own course based on your unique values, passions, and purpose. This kind of success is not about conforming to societal norms or expectations, but about creating a life that is authentic, meaningful, and fulfilling to you. It's about having the courage to follow your heart, even when it means taking the road less traveled or challenging the status quo. Pursuing a life of purpose and fulfillment is not always easy, but it is always worth it. When you live in alignment with your deepest values and desires, you experience a sense of joy, freedom, and abundance that cannot be measured by external markers of success. You become a force for positive change in the world, inspiring others to live with greater authenticity, purpose, and passion. Chapter 7. The Art of Self-Compassion. Embracing your imperfections. Self-compassion is the practice of treating ourselves with the same kindness, understanding, and acceptance that we would offer to a good friend. It's about recognizing that we are all human, and that imperfection is a natural part of the human experience. When we cultivate self-compassion, we create a foundation of love and support that allows us to weather life's challenges with greater resilience and grace. However, for many of us, self-compassion does not come naturally. We live in a culture that often promotes self-criticism, perfectionism, and the belief that our worth is contingent upon our achievements or external validation. We may have internalized messages from a young age that we are not good enough, smart enough, or deserving of love and respect. These beliefs can lead to a harsh inner critic that constantly judges and berates us for our perceived flaws and shortcomings. We may hold ourselves to impossible standards and feel like failures when we inevitably fall short. This kind of self-judgment can be incredibly damaging to our mental and emotional well-being, leading to feelings of shame, anxiety, and depression. Learning to practice self-compassion is about unlearning these harmful patterns of self-talk and replacing them with a more nurturing and supportive inner dialogue. It's about recognizing that we are all works in progress, and that our worth is not dependent on our achievements or external validation. Self-compassion involves three key components: mindfulness, common humanity, and self-kindness. Mindfulness is the practice of bringing our attention to the present moment with curiosity and non-judgment. It allows us to observe our thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them or trying to change them. When we practice mindfulness, we create space between our experiences and our reactions to them. We learn to respond to difficult emotions with greater equanimity and skill, rather than getting swept away by them. Mindfulness also helps us to cultivate a greater sense of self-awareness, which is essential for recognizing when we are being self-critical or judgmental. Common humanity is the recognition that we are all connected by our shared experiences of suffering and imperfection. When we feel like we are struggling or falling short, it's easy to feel isolated and alone. However, the truth is that everyone experiences hardship, failure, and disappointment at times. Recognizing our common humanity allows us to feel less alone in our struggles and more connected to others who are going through similar challenges. It helps us to let go of the belief that we are somehow defective or unworthy, and instead embrace our imperfections as a natural part of the human experience. Self-kindness is the practice of treating ourselves with the same warmth, understanding, and compassion that we would offer to a good friend. When we make a mistake or experience a setback, we often default to self-criticism and blame. However, this kind of self-talk is rarely helpful or motivating. Instead, self-kindness involves speaking to ourselves with gentleness and understanding. It means acknowledging our pain and difficulty and offering ourselves words of comfort and support. It means treating ourselves with patience and forgiveness, rather than judgment and condemnation. Practicing self-compassion is not always easy, especially if we have a long history of self-criticism and negative self-talk. It requires a willingness to challenge our ingrained beliefs and patterns, and to cultivate new habits of mind and heart. One powerful way to practice self-compassion is through the use of loving-kindness meditation. This involves silently repeating phrases of goodwill and compassion towards ourselves and others, such as, "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be free from suffering." By intentionally cultivating feelings of kindness and care towards ourselves, we begin to rewire our brains for greater self-acceptance and inner peace. Another strategy for practicing self-compassion is to cultivate a growth mindset. This means viewing our challenges and setbacks as opportunities for learning and growth, rather than as evidence of our inadequacy or failure. When we approach difficult experiences with curiosity and openness, we are more likely to respond with self-compassion and resilience. It's important to remember that self-compassion is not about letting ourselves off the hook or avoiding responsibility for our actions. Rather, it's about creating a supportive and nurturing inner environment that allows us to learn from our mistakes and grow into our best selves. Self-compassion is also not about being selfish or self-indulgent. In fact, research has shown that people who practice self-compassion are more likely to engage in healthy behaviors like exercise, eating well, and getting enough sleep. They are also more likely to have satisfying relationships and to be more compassionate towards others. Ultimately, self-compassion is about embracing our full humanity, with all of its messiness and imperfection. It's about recognizing that we are all works in progress, and that our worth is not contingent upon our achievements or external validation. When we cultivate self-compassion, we create a foundation of love and acceptance that allows us to show up more fully in the world. We become more resilient in the face of challenges, more connected to others, and more aligned with our deepest values and desires. Embracing our imperfections is not always easy, but it is always worth it. When we learn to treat ourselves with kindness, understanding, and compassion, we unlock a deep well of inner strength and wisdom that can guide us through even the most difficult of times. Chapter 8. The Ripple Effect. Inspiring others through your authentic life. When we embrace our authentic selves and live in alignment with our values and boundaries, we create a powerful ripple effect that extends far beyond ourselves. Our actions and choices have the power to inspire and influence those around us, creating a positive impact on our communities and the world at large. This ripple effect begins with the way we show up in our daily lives. When we live with integrity, compassion, and purpose, we model a way of being that is grounded in our deepest truth. We demonstrate that it is possible to live a life that is fulfilling, meaningful, and true to ourselves, even in the face of challenges and obstacles. Others may take notice of the way we carry ourselves, the way we interact with others, and the way we approach life's ups and downs. They may be inspired by our resilience, our kindness, or our commitment to our values. They may see in us a reflection of their own potential and be motivated to make changes in their own lives. This inspiration can take many forms. It may be a colleague who is inspired by our work ethic and decides to pursue their own passions more fully. It may be a friend who is moved by our vulnerability and decides to open up more in their own relationships. It may be a child who watches us navigate a difficult situation with grace and learns a valuable lesson about perseverance and self-compassion. The impact of our authentic lives can ripple out in countless ways, often without us even realizing it. We may never know the full extent of the lives we touch, or the difference we make simply by being true to ourselves. However, we can cultivate a greater awareness of the power of our presence and the impact of our choices. We can be intentional about the way we show up in the world and the messages we send through our words and actions. This means being mindful of the values we embody and the boundaries we set. It means being thoughtful about the way we communicate with others and the way we handle conflict and challenges. It means being willing to have difficult conversations and stand up for what we believe in, even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular. When we lead by example, we give others permission to do the same. We create a culture of authenticity, vulnerability, and growth. We foster a sense of connection and belonging that is rooted in our shared humanity, rather than in superficial markers of success or status. Of course, living an authentic life is not always easy. It requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to risk disapproval or rejection. It means being willing to stand out from the crowd and forge our own path, even when it feels lonely or uncertain. However, the rewards of living authentically are immeasurable. When we are true to ourselves, we experience a sense of wholeness and fulfillment that cannot be found through external validation or achievement. We develop deeper, more meaningful relationships with others, based on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. We also become more resilient in the face of life's challenges. When we have a strong sense of who we are and what we stand for, we are better equipped to weather the storms of life. We have an inner compass that guides us through difficult times, and a sense of purpose that sustains us even in the face of adversity. Inspiring others through our authentic lives is not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about being willing to show up fully, with all of our flaws and imperfections, and to share our journey with others. It's about being vulnerable and transparent, and allowing others to see our struggles as well as our triumphs. It's about being curious and open-minded, and seeking to learn from the experiences and perspectives of those around us. When we approach life with this kind of openness and humility, we create a space for genuine connection and growth. We build relationships based on trust, empathy, and mutual understanding. We inspire others not by trying to be someone we're not, but by being fully and unapologetically ourselves. The ripple effect of our authentic lives extends far beyond our immediate circles. When we live in alignment with our values and boundaries, we contribute to a larger culture of compassion, respect, and inclusivity. We help to create a world that is more just, equitable, and sustainable for all. We may not always see the impact of our choices in the moment, but every small act of authenticity and courage matters. Every time we speak up for what we believe in, set a healthy boundary, or extend compassion to ourselves or others, we create a ripple that has the power to change lives. Living an authentic life is not a destination, but a lifelong journey of growth, discovery, and self-reflection. It requires a willingness to embrace discomfort, to learn from our mistakes, and to keep showing up with an open heart and mind. The road may not always be easy, but it is always worth it. When we have the courage to be true to ourselves and to inspire others through our example, we create a legacy that will endure long after we are gone. We leave the world a little brighter, a little more compassionate, and a little more authentic than we found it.